Ja, hallo liebe Eishockey-Freunde, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe von AEV Hansons Talking Hockey. Unser heutiger Gast, Eishockey-Profi Sahir Gill. Sahir, nice to have you on our show. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to see you guys again, and it'll be fun to catch up here.
Yeah, just a short introduction of your career so far. So you start playing hockey as a kid in, I think, 2006 or something in the college and so on. And you are picked 2014 for the farm team from the Pittsburgh Penguins. And you played there, I think, 3 years for the farm team. And then you decide to come to Augsburg in 2018. And then after 2 years in Augsburg, you go to Austria, Villach, and then you're now in Slovakia and playing for HK Nitra.
Where is this?
Is it correct? Yeah.
Yeah,
and
no, perfect.
Last year, you won the championship, extra league champion.
We did.
Sasha, you forgot Landshut.
Yeah,
of course.
Correct.
After Villach.
Jersey's right behind you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot it. So this is why we are three of us.
Yeah.
No, yeah. The only thing Sasha has got to do is the introduction.
Yeah.
I'm finished.
No, that was good. Nitra, by the way, just to answer your question.
Where is
this? It's an hour and 30 minutes from Vienna, 45 minutes from Bratislava. So it's on the western side.
Oh, okay.
We're really close to Austria. So it's if I need my German fill, if I need to go to Lidl and get some stuff or whatever, I can always hop over and get something there. So usually some of the mustards or things like that, I still and my kids, my youngest was born in Germany, so he loves the pretzels. So usually, if we stop over there, it's always nice that was our introduction to Europe. So it's always great to hear the German language and just see some of the German culture. I know Austria is a little different, but it still feels cool just to kind of be around that.
Cool. Before we start to talk about Augsburg and actual situation. Sasha, you said that you played in for Pittsburgh, the farm team for Pittsburgh. So are you also following the NHL and especially also Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think while you're playing for those teams, obviously that becomes your favorite team. That's where all your focus is on, and I think once you leave from there, you know a lot of the people in the organization, and the culture there. So I think it's something that I still follow them. I still hope that they do well, and it's cool to see some of the guys that you played with that are still playing there, and you cheer and root for those guys. I think as you get older, for just having played kind of in that environment, I don't know if I'd have like a favorite team or anything, but I definitely, the teams that I was able to play for, those are the teams that, you can always keep an eye out for them and make sure that the guys, are doing well, and the people in the organization, that everything's, they're.
So if you support Pittsburgh, it's not easy actually, isn't it?
No, yeah, they've had some tough years.
Yeah, that's my bridge switching over to Augsburg,
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Why talk about Augsburg? We just talk about last year. You won the championship with Nitra. Yeah. So far, you have I think a very good season last year. So I think playoffs and also normal season games, you scored one point each game.
Yeah,
on average.
It was a good season. I think our team is pretty balanced. I think we have a lot of good players. We usually roll 4 lines, and I think the regular season we had some really good times. We had some really tough times, and going into playoffs, we had some really tough times. And I don't know if we were that confident going into playoffs. And we fell into the play-in round. that was kind of the best thing for us, and just kind of woke us up. And you know, I think with my role in the team, offense is always going to be something that I want to contribute to the team. So it was nice to obviously to be able to do that. But I think just the whole playoff experience last year, just the way that we kind of went into playoffs and how it ended up was really special.
Yeah, so congratulations for your championship.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they're not easy to win, so it's nice. Yeah, it's
and it's one for the books, you know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We got a good support here with the community, and just to see, we won it on home ice, and just to see what it meant just to people, you know, around the city was really cool. You know, sometimes for us when we come in, I mean, I've been fortunate to play in places like Augsburg where you get a feel for what hockey means over here. You know, and just to see what the championship meant, that was probably the coolest part. Was just we were celebrating with all the fans right after the game, and just that week after, and just kind of seeing, you know, just how grateful I think everybody, players and fans, and just to be a part of something like that. It's a little bit bigger than any individual, and something that we could all share. So that was really cool to see.
Your season in Augsburg was also one of our last best seasons, I think.
Yeah.
It was yeah, good. Okay, you were also 2 seasons there from 2018 to 2020, so 2 seasons. But the 2018-2019 season was one of the best seasons in the last decades, I think, for Augsburg.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. I don't know what happens at the moment, but this is also where we are born so far as the AEV Hansons in the playoffs.
Yeah,
exactly. And are you following the situation in Augsburg, or are you in contact with some former teammates, or?
I keep. I don't really talk too much with some of the guys. Everyone's busy with their own seasons, and you know, some of the guys that I were close with aren't there anymore. But I always keep track as far as how you guys are doing, and you know, obviously the last few years, and just every year, just kind of hoping that things, you know, turn around. It was that's for me, that's the best place in that league to play. It's one of the best places in Europe to play, as far as the atmosphere, the club, the history, and just like I said, right, it's so cool when you play somewhere where it means so much to the people that come and support you. And I think Augsburg has the best when it comes to that in that league, and that rink, when you know, when the team's good, it's on fire, and there's nothing better than a game night, you know, when the team's doing well. And I was fortunate to be on a team that had a pretty great season, and you know, we fell a little short, but I just think just the whole year was a good season in the regular season. And then in playoffs, we had some success as well. And, you know, then to be able to see the Champions League the next season, and just kind of see how great that was. It's just a different brand of hockey, but just the consistency and from the fans, and the support on the road, and just the games at home. I think, you know, that place always has a special place for me. In my heart, for on ice and off ice. You know, my son was born there, and there's just so much amazing things. And when you're part of a team that's doing well, it just makes things, you know, a little bit different. I think, you know, we play a lot of seasons, and some of them can blend in, and that one season was definitely one that stood out for me.
Yeah, how's life as hockey player? I think that's very difficult, especially you have to move if you need to move. And if you are a young player, one fun fact, you're from Terrace in Canada. So my aunt and my uncle also live in Terrace. I've never been there.
Oh, wow.
Because from Augsburg to Terrace, that's a horrible trip.
Oh,
So
yeah.
my brother was there, and he told me that's a mess. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's worth it, I think, when you get there. But to get there is, you're far away, and going all that way, I don't know if Terrace is the first stop on on your list if you're going to Canada. But I think it's a hidden gem. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's a cool
Yeah,
spot.
it is.
But
It is.
yeah, I don't.
But as a hockey player, especially if you are a young player, yeah, you went to Pittsburgh or to I got you. You also played in Boston College, or
Boston University, yeah.
I mean, from Boston
Yeah.
to Terrace. By the way, it's also through the whole one time through the whole states, isn't it?
Yeah, no, those weren't easy travel by any means. I was, far from home, and Terrace is a very small city, and those are some bigger cities. So it was a bit of a different atmosphere, that's for sure. And just the travel, yeah, the travel wasn't fun. It's like 3 or 4 flights. It's easier to get to Augsburg, I think, than it is to get to Boston. So
Yeah. So how old are your kids?
my oldest just turned 5, and then I have a 2-year-old, and my wife, we're due end of March, and that's our 3rd boy. So
Oh.
that's
All the best. All the best.
Yeah, thank you.
But that's the reason for to improve your skills, because you're practicing every day. If you
Yeah,
want to
I
relax,
just
you have to go to practice, right?
pretty much, yeah. I just got off the ice with my oldest son. He just had practice, and he loves, as soon as I get home from practice, he's got the sticks ready to go. He wants to play, and he comes to the games. He loves hockey. He's crazy about it. It's sometimes I'm looking to get away from the game when I come from practice, but he wants to keep going, and it's fun for me because I remember being that age and wanting to do the same thing. So it's cool that I can share and still be playing while he's at an age where he can grow to love the game, and I'm the coolest guy for him just because I play hockey and he loves hockey. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Nothing better. Nothing.
If you compare the leagues, German DL versus Austrian and Czech league, are there difference, or are they, would you say, the same level, or what are the main
No.
difference?
Yeah, I think the German leagues, it's one of the best leagues in Europe. It might be the best, at this point. I think the Austrian league was a little bit different. That was the Corona year too, so it was a little bit of a different experience. I don't think I got the full experience of the league, just with no fans and just even some of the players that were able to come and play. And I enjoyed it. We were in a beautiful city, and that was fun. But I think as far as the hockey, it's a different style of game. I don't think it's like
Okay.
the German league is it's very close to North America, I'd say, as far as the way the structure and the systems and the way that the coaches want the teams to play. The guys are always in good positioning, and it's almost easier to play as a player sometimes, just because guys, you got a lot of smart hockey players, a lot of guys that are skilled, but they know how to play the game as far as a team system, and I think in Austria and now in Slovakia, I think some of it is a little bit more skill based, and it's not as much system based, and it makes for a little bit more of a random game, which can be good sometimes and fun, and sometimes can be a little bit more difficult just because it's a little bit less predictable, I think. And the German league is harder for sure, but I think in certain ways it's easier just because your guys are going to be in the right spot, and those guys are all players that have played at a high level. Obviously the German national team's done really well. The German players are some of the top in Europe, and then I think as far as imports and the guys that you guys are able to get for imports, there's a lot of really good players from top guys from the American League and things like that. So I think there's just a higher focus just on the system play, and I think it makes it a little tighter, and sometimes could be a little maybe tougher to produce offense, but at the same time, the stuff that's not maybe going on the score sheet can be a little easier too.
But if it goes to the Champions Hockey League, German teams are not that good compared to others in Europe. Normally the Scandinavian teams are winning that competition, and so I don't know. If I watch the leagues, by themselves, I would think German league is one of the best, but they are always a better team in Scandinavian league also.
Yeah, well, I think it's different styles of play too. You know, I think in the German league you see a lot of the same type of hockey, just as you would say in Sweden or Finland. Like those leagues are very similar amongst the teams in those leagues. And you know, we played Luleå, you know, and it was difficult for us just because the style of game they play is so much different than the style that you see in the German league. And I think, you know, sometimes that can be an advantage and sometimes it can be a disadvantage. I thought like against the Swiss teams, I thought we matched up really well, but against the Swedish team, it was difficult for us, just the way that they played. You know, we weren't really able to play our game as much as we were just trying to react to the way that they were playing. And I don't know if it's necessarily the quality of the players, but I think it's just the way that the style of game that they play, and it's not a style that we play, you know, and those are top teams in Europe. So to go along with a different style of game, you also have extremely skilled players that are executing that style. And I think that's maybe where the matchup is tough, and just it can be tough just with the schedule too. You know, those are midweek games, and the German, I think the league play you can get some tough games, you know, and just depending on when that Champions League game is scheduled, you might not be playing at 100% going into some of those games. And I think the Champions League, I think maybe there's more emphasis on winning that for some of those Swedish teams than there is the German. You know, the German team is focused on league play, and the Champions League is a bonus where those teams are just as focused, if not more, for Champions League. So
yeah, maybe it's not as popular as in Sweden or somewhere else. I mean, we can see it. I guess who was in the finals? Munich.
Once Munich.
Yeah, once, and
the
awareness on TV or in media was not as much as it normally, as you expect, yeah, and not as much as it is in Sweden or where else. Maybe that's also a reason. But if you played 2 years in Germany as a forward, is there any, I ask this question to every forward, is there any defender in the German league, or was a defender in the German league where you hated to play against?
Yeah, he's on your team now, I think. Raul, the big boy there.
Yeah,
you know, he's so strong, he's so big, and I think underrated. His positioning is really good, you know, and for me, I'm a smaller player, and if he gets a hand on me at all, there's no chance to get around him. And I think, you know, there's some players that are skilled and maybe tough to play that way, but I think with him, you have to be aware of where he is on the ice at all times, just because, you know, even a normal hit from him is going to be a huge hit, you know? So I think not too many players you have to like be aware of where they are on the ice at all times. And I just remember when he was on Mannheim that it was tough going up against him, just because, you know, if you couldn't outskate him or you couldn't find some space away from him, there wasn't really anything you could do. You know, he's such a big guy, and he's smart too. His positioning, I think, at his size, he's not slow by any means, but I think he uses his positioning so well to make up for any speed that you might be able to try and use against him. So I know I got a few good licks from him, and you remember those. So I would say him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, Sunday last he made his, or no, Sunday last week. Was it Sunday last week? I don't know. Or was it Friday? He made his 800th DEL match, which is also a huge number, impressive number, isn't it? And by the way, the checks from Dennis Reul for us were one of the few highlights we had in the season. Yeah. Okay, some other games, the win against Cologne and in Berlin, of course, also, but situation is not easy actually. 5 points behind Iserlohn. I would say Düsseldorf is gone. with 7 points in front of us and one more game to play. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah, it's so tough. I think like you guys are, like I said before, it's such a special place to play, and that's a DEL team all the way as far as the city, the arena, the fans, the history of the club, you know. And I think that would be a shame if Augsburg, you know, wasn't able to continue in the DEL, just because that's you want to be a premier league in Europe, and that's a team that is a perfect example of why it is a premier league in Europe. You know, I think anybody I've talked to, I got a lot of buddies that have played in that league, and every single time their favorite place to play has always been Augsburg, you know, and that's every single time. You know, you hear Berlin and those kind of things, but at the same time, they don't talk about it the same way that they do Augsburg. And I really hope that you guys are able to find a miracle again and
Yeah,
make
but
it happen.
I mean that's the same. If you win the championship, you need a team. Everybody needs to pull on the same rope or whatever, yeah. And Larry Mitchell said in the press conference last Friday that there were some player they do not the maximum everything to come out of the dark, let me say it this way. Um,
Yeah.
and he's definitely right, but that's not only the players, that's from my perspective also the whole organization. There were a lot of people in the organization who love sports, but I don't have the feeling that the organization itself does everything possible to stay in the league. Maybe I'm wrong, but if I look at the competitors in Düsseldorf, so they traded 3 new players, yeah, and some other clubs, they do a lot of media awareness to bring all the complete city behind the club. And in Augsburg, actually, it's very very normal compared to our very difficult situation. Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
last
And
chance now, isn't it? And
yeah.
for that, everybody needs to be not in panic, but in a uh, very
Yeah.
dynamic and aware mode. Yeah, and that's not the case actually.
Yeah. You guys are in
Not of for
playoffs.
all. That's not for all, but for a few.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's enough. Yeah, if you have 2 or 3 players which are not willing, you will also not win the championship.
No, exactly. Yeah. And it's such a good league, and every team is going to be able to beat you every game. There's no game that you're going to go into and say, you know, if we just show up, we're going to win, right? Like every team is good, and there's a lot of really good teams, you know, and you got to bring your best if you want to beat the top half of that league. And I think, you know, sometimes whether it's, you know, points in this, you know, I know guys are always trying in that department, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think the effort and just the team game and how, you know, sometimes you got to win 2-1. And it's not about scoring a ton of goals, but it's just about playing the right way and the guys that are playing for each other, you know, in that playoff kind of style of game where it's just you're making decisions to win a game. You're not making decisions to get your next contract or just to, you know, fulfill the contract you have now. It's more about, and that's where I think the atmosphere that they have in the rink is there's never a problem being excited to play there. And I think whether I look back and think, you know, I wish I would have scored more, I still felt like I gave everything I could during those games, whether it was showing up on the score sheet or not. I think we had a really good team that really wanted to play for each other. And I think you saw, you know, with physical play, blocking shots, you know, not making, you know, dumb mistakes with the puck. There's just those little things that really add up, I think, over a course of a season to how many games you're going to win. You know, you're not going to outscore every team, you know, with 5 or 6 goals every night. You know, you got to be willing to play a game that's not as sexy sometimes and making sure you're taking care of the little things that win you hockey games. So I haven't been able to watch any of the games to know what's going on there with the team, but I would hope that just from my experience in Augsburg, that was always something that everyone took so much pride in playing for the city, for the team, in front of those fans. And I think everybody really, it felt like a team. You know, it didn't feel like guys that were under contract for one season. It felt like guys that were there, you know, trying to do something special, and understanding that that's a different mindset than it is just collecting a paycheck and just kind of, you know, trying to do your part for what your contract is. It's buying into the team and into the city, into the organization, and you know, sometimes you got to sacrifice some personal things and some personal achievements to help the team win, you know. And I think everybody, when I was there, was willing to do that, and that's why we had some success when I was there. And you know, I would hope that that's still the case, but obviously, you know, it's been some tough times, and there's obviously some issues, and yeah, I hope it figures itself out.
So from your view, the DL has these thing that if you've been last, you go down to DL2, and if there's one who can come up, he goes up. So these up and down, do you think that's a thing that works for hockey? I think no.
It's not a bad idea, but I think in a situation like this, where you're going to potentially lose a team like Augsburg and a club like that, that's when you see the negative parts of that system. You know, I think it's, if you got a team that's in the league that's last every year and they have no chance of competing, that's one thing where maybe you bring that system into play. But I think that league is you know, pretty good. And if I look at the Del2, there's, you know, maybe a team or two that can move up, but how many times does the team that moves up have that much success? You know, I mean, Bietigheim, they had it for 1 year, and then after that they went right back down. You know, like it's not an easy thing to do for those clubs to completely change your roster and come up and try and compete in that league, you know. So I don't know if I love the way that system works. I've never been really on a team that's in position to go down, to know, you know, what those guys are kind of going through and how that works. But I think that, you know, if the league feels like they got the right clubs in the top league, you know, they shouldn't be punished for a bad season, you know, to lose your license and, you know, then to have to go through the process to try and get back again. You know, that can end some clubs, you know, and if it's a club like Augsburg that is 100% deserves to be in that league and is such a good representative for that league, then I don't think that's a very good system if you have a chance of losing a club like that.
Yeah, but if you started that mechanism, yeah, you need to continue, because the same argument as you said for Augsburg, you can also mention for Krefeld, for example. Krefeld was also a very a long time member of the DL. I guess they were they in the DL also from the beginning?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So they need also a chance. They need also a chance now to
come back.
To get up.
Come back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and,
but at the end, it's all about the money they have. And if they can pay for the license, they can come up. So why not play with 16 teams or 18 teams and not with 14? So, but I think we can discuss this the whole night.
I mean, for Augsburg, we had 2 times the situation, as we were very long not sure if we stay in the league or not. It's very difficult to start planning. But on the other hand, as a team with a very low budget compared to other DL teams, we should be used to have the situation, because with less budget, you are very often very late if you plan the season. So that's just a small argument. We hear it very often,
Yeah.
maybe it's okay, but I think it's not as important as somebody make it. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, I think that was like, if I think back of when I was there, that Stewie did a great job of finding players within the budget of the team that were going to come in and play a team game, that were going to come in and maybe play above what their salary would be in other places. You know, I think he was able. I think that comes down to the management and just being able to find the right players. I don't think it's a unique place to be, to have a budget that forces you to be creative with who you sign as players. I think you know, some teams and some guys are able to do that. They're able to find guys that you know, are suited to come over to Europe and to do well. And then at the same time, I think you need to have a good culture in the room. You know, I think that was Stewie. That was huge with him, was that he found guys that were going to come in and they're going to fit in the dressing room amongst each other as imports, and then also, you know, with the German players. Because if you got a team that's close and you got a team full of really good guys, it's not the skill and the ability doesn't matter as much if you're able to create a team environment, you know. And I think that was one of those strengths, is that you got to be able to find the right players, and your budget is going to be what it is. But there's a lot of good hockey players out there, and there's a lot of good guys that are out there, and you got to be able to find that. And that comes down to the scouting and the research they do before they're signing players. I think you know, you have less room for error when you're a club like that with a tighter budget. So those decisions are even more important, I think, than it is for like a Berlin or a Munich, who can just replace players pretty easily. You know, and the crew that they're picking from is guys that people know more about. You know, you got to find guys that people don't know as much about, and you know, I think that can come down to what players you select.
Yeah. So we hope the best, and perhaps we got the luck again. I don't know how much years you can have such a luck, but as you said, normally for the city of Augsburg, it's not good to be in the second league, I think. But hey, so also the fans will stay there and support the team, and that's all about, you know, to come together, see a team play you want to support, and yeah.
Yeah, and becoming not last, it's much easier from my perspective than becoming first. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to support a team that's doing well, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if,
Yeah.
What's the outlook for you, for your season, for the actual season, and for the next season? Do you still have a contract, or?
my contract's just for this year. I think you know, this is my third season here. You know, we've had some good, obviously last year we had the championship. The year before that, from the time that I was here until the end of the year, we had a really good run. You know, I really enjoy it here. I think our focus this season is, you know, we have a lot of players back from last season that won the championship, and I think especially when it comes playoff time, I think we're a team that built a little bit more for the playoffs, and playing a team maybe 7 times and being able to wear a team down like that. You know, so we're just focused on getting in a good position going into playoffs, try and get home ice advantage. And then once playoffs start, you know, I think the experience of going all the way through is, you know, we got a lot of that now, right? Like last year we had a bunch of guys that maybe haven't played that style of hockey before, and having gone through that as a team and having so many of those guys back, and just understanding how that feeling was when everybody came together, you know, working towards that, and just kind of how our game looks when we do that. I think our focus is on trying to defend the title. You know, I don't know what next year holds for me. It's just, in general, that's kind of hockey life. You're usually on a 1-year contract, and it's not something I'm thinking about at this point, just because
Mm.
the exciting part of the season is kind of coming up for us. You know, we're down the stretch and we're fighting for home ice, and then it's playoff time, and you know, just trying to get back to the top, and knowing that we've done it before and we can do it again. And you know, you need a lot of things to go right to win, but that's kind of where my focus at. Next year, you know, once the season's over, then you know, I'll have a little bit of time to kind of focus on whether it's here or it's somewhere else. But I think our focus here is we have a title to defend, and we're in a position to do that. And let's go see if we can do it.
Yeah, so I think we will follow you.
Yeah.
What happens, and all the best for the championships so far. And
Yeah, good luck.
hope you can defend it. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I-
see
I-
you
I-
latest in 15 years in Augsburg when your son is playing for Augsburg.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. That'd be so cool. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you will be always welcome in Augsburg.
Yeah,
I think.
always.
Yeah. Well, he was born there, you know. So if he plays hockey and it's something he wants to do, if
You
if
have
that
to
ever
show
works
him
out.
his born place, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like I
Yeah.
said, that's always a special place for us, for my wife and I. Just, you know, it's an amazing city, and just the hockey there is amazing. So if that ever happened, if you ever had the option to go there, I'd have some good things to say about for him to go there.
Perfect. So thanks
Perfect.
for your time, Sahir, and all the best
Yeah.
for the rest of your season, and all the best for your wife and your third born. Huh?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on, guys. It was
Yeah,
good to
for
see
all
you,
of
and
you. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Sahir. Bye.